Why women ignore the perfect man and obsess over the one who doesn't chase. The uncomfortable truth. Hello, and welcome to Fire Within Tales. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, I've done everything right, so why doesn't she care? You've spent years building yourself. You've got the job, the body, the car. You show up dressed well, speak respectfully, offer your time with care. On paper, you're everything they said women want. And yet, the women you pursue stay lukewarm. They reply, but they're not excited. They go on dates, but never chase you back. They smile, but something's missing behind their eyes. Meanwhile, there's this guy you know. Let's call him Tuan. Tuan lives in a cheap apartment, drives a rusty car, no degree from a top school, nothing extraordinary. But women lose their minds over him. They double text him. They beg for his attention. They rearrange their lives just to get a piece of his time. You watch this, and something inside you cracks. You begin to doubt yourself. You replay every move. You wonder what he has that you don't. Today, I'm going to tell you the answer. And it's going to dismantle everything you think you know about attraction. Because the truth is brutal. Women don't become addicted to the man who tries the hardest. They become obsessed with the man who doesn't need to try at all. They don't crave perfection. They crave presence. They crave certainty. They crave a man who doesn't flinch, doesn't chase, and doesn't explain himself. If this is your first time here, subscribe now, because what we're building isn't for the weak. It's for the men who are ready to stop chasing approval and start embodying power. The world's been lying to you about what makes women fall. Let's burn that lie to the ground. The biggest lie. Men are taught about attraction. Here's the lie that's been sold to you your whole life. If you accumulate enough value, women will naturally want you. They gave you the checklist. Get in shape. Make money. Learn game. Be nice, but not too nice. Show your ambition. Dress well. Play confident. They told you attraction is about earning it, that the right combination of status and charm will unlock her desire. But here's what they didn't tell you. Every time you try to prove your worth, you automatically lower it. Because here's how women really operate. They don't calculate your net worth. They don't compare your resume. They don't fall for your car, your muscles, or your watch. They read something else entirely. Your energy, your inner frame, your emotional gravity. And in 5 silent seconds, she places you in one of 2 categories, above me or below me. If she senses you're below her, because you're seeking approval, validation, attention, it's over before it begins. But if she feels your groundedness, your detachment, your self-certainty, she starts to fall. She doesn't even know why. But she starts thinking about you. She starts replaying your words. She starts needing your presence like air. This is the paradox that destroys most men. The more you chase, the less she wants you. The more you try to be right for her, the more wrong you become. Because real attraction isn't logical. It's primal. It's emotional. And it's completely out of your control, unless you master your internal world. You don't win her over with effort. You pull her in with energy. The invisible force behind female obsession. Let me tell you something that will change the way you see every man who gets chased by women. It's not about what he has. It's about what he is. It's not money. It's not looks. It's not status. It's the perception of value. Not value itself, but how that value is felt through his internal energy. Let me paint a picture for you. You're in a room with 10 people. 4 men, 6 women. One man, let's call him Min, is a millionaire. Custom suit, Rolex, perfect teeth. He says all the right things. Another man, Nam, wears an old hoodie. No watch, no flash, just a quiet smirk. A woman makes a snarky comment. Min chuckles politely, but Nam Ban, without flinching, delivers a sharp, calm, perfectly timed line that makes everyone pause. It's not forced. It's not for attention. It's just real. And in that moment, he owns the room. The women feel it. They feel the shift. They feel the weight of a man who doesn't need anyone to like him. And that's exactly why they start craving his presence. That's what I call unshakable masculine energy. And it's the root of sexual market value. Not what you own, but how you show up. Most men spend their lives building a list of accomplishments. But accomplishments don't transfer into energy unless they're backed by self-trust and detachment. A man can have the world in his hands, but if he's still looking around to see who's clapping, he's already lost. Women don't fall for what they see on paper. They fall for what they feel in your presence. And the man who doesn't chase, doesn't try, and doesn't perform is the one they can't stop thinking about. The validation death spiral. Here's where it all collapses. You've built your life. You've worked hard. You've improved your body, your career, your image, and deep down, you're hoping she'll notice. But she doesn't. Because the moment you need her to notice, you've already handed her your power. That's the trap, the validation trap. And once you fall into it, it's a spiral you can't fake your way out of. You start watching how she reacts. You adjust yourself based on her mood. You become a performer in your own life. And worse, you start depending on her approval to feel like a man. This is what I call the validation death spiral. You start giving more, just to feel enough. You start chasing harder, just to feel seen. And in doing so, you scream insecurity, even when you say all the right things. Understand this. Neediness is never sexy. And the more you need her to like you, the less she does. Why? Because if you don't believe you're enough as you are, why should she? Let me be clear. The most magnetic men in the world aren't those who demand attention. They're the ones who don't need it. The ones who can receive a compliment without getting high, and take a rejection without falling apart. That's internal power. That's self-validation. And it's rare. So rare that when a woman senses it, she doesn't just get interested, she gets addicted. Because in a world full of insecure performers, a grounded, self-assured man is unforgettable. The power of presence, and why she can't resist it. Most men don't know how to be with a woman. They know how to talk to her. They know how to impress her. They know how to perform for her. But they don't know how to simply sit there, calm, grounded, fully present. Their minds are racing. What should I say next? Is she into me? Am I doing this right? They're stuck in their heads, not in the moment. And she feels that. Women are not attracted to your words. They're not pulled in by your muscles or your job title. They're drawn to your energy. And there is no energy more addictive than a man who is completely here. Not thinking about the future, not clinging to the past, not trying to impress, just being, still, silent, unmoved. When a man is fully present, a woman feels seen. She feels safe. She feels like she can relax into herself. And in that stillness, desire begins to build. You don't need a clever line. You don't need to escalate. You don't need a script. Just your attention, unbroken, unshaken, unapologetic. Presence is the quiet storm that pulls her in. But here's the thing. You can't fake presence. You either have it, because you've done the work to become grounded, or you don't. You can memorize techniques. You can rehearse confidence. But if your energy is scattered, anxious, needy, she will feel it. Women are biologically wired to sense incongruence. And if you're pretending to be calm while seeking her reaction with every move, she'll walk away, even if she can't explain why. But when you're rooted, when you have nothing to prove, nowhere to go, and no need to impress, that's when she leans in. That's when she becomes obsessed with what you're not saying. That's when silence becomes louder than words. That's when desire ignites. The lie of goals and the birthplace of true confidence. Here's a question most men never ask themselves. Why do I want what I want? Why do you want six-pack abs? Why do you want that luxury car? Why do you want a certain income, a certain look, a certain type of woman? Be honest. Is it because you truly desire it? Or because the world convinced you that these things will make you desirable? Here's the hard truth. Most of your goals were never yours to begin with. They were installed by media, by broken culture, by dating coaches selling pain disguised as solutions. They told you, if you have this, you'll be worthy. If you look like this, she'll love you. If you achieve this, you'll finally feel like a man. So you chase, you grind, you build, you perform, and you still feel hollow. That's because you're building your identity on a foundation made of noise. Real confidence doesn't come from achieving what others told you to want. It comes from knowing who you are without needing applause. It comes from asking, what do I value? What do I want if no one's watching? Who am I without validation? That's when the shift happens. You stop chasing approval. You stop mimicking confidence. You stop bending yourself to fit the shape of her expectations. And you become real. Not polished, not perfect, just real. And that's magnetic. Because in a world of rehearsed personalities and borrowed goals, authenticity is gold. The men who are most desired by women aren't the ones trying to be something. They're the ones who've stripped away everything false, until all that remains is raw, self-sufficient truth. And that truth doesn't chase. It simply is. Stoic masculinity and the power of saying no. Here's a truth most men are too scared to accept. The moment sex becomes your goal, you've already lost. Because when your entire sense of worth hinges on whether a woman sleeps with you, you've made her the gatekeeper of your self-esteem. She holds the key. She controls your mood. She decides if today you feel like a man. That's not power. That's dependency wearing a confident smile. And the tragedy? Women feel it. They feel when you're hunting for validation through their body. They feel when your compliments are currency. They feel the tension, the expectation, the quiet begging behind your charm. And it repels them. Because when they know sex is what you really want, they know you're willing to do anything. Even betray yourself. To get it. You've just made them your drug. But now imagine the opposite. Imagine being the man who could have her, but chooses not to. Not because you're afraid, not because you're playing games, but because you're not ready. Because you want more depth. Because your connection matters more than your craving. That's power. That's self-control in a world starving for instant gratification. And that energy? It intoxicates her. She starts wondering, why didn't he want me? What's different about him? Because no one says no to her, except you. And that no is louder than 100 compliments. It tells her you're not desperate. It tells her you have options. It tells her you're not a slave to desire. You are the master of it. That's stoicism. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being unmoved by temporary pleasures. It's about choosing your path, not being dragged by impulse. In this space, women feel something they rarely experience. A man who cannot be swayed, bought, or seduced away from his center. That's the kind of man they don't just desire. They crave. They chase. They obsess over. Because he doesn't need them. And that makes them need him more.